Whether you're trying to wrap your head around architectural concepts, or you need to get down into the nitty-gritty of understanding a particular API, Dan is here to show us how Azure Docs has you covered, today on Azure Friday. Hey everyone, Donovan Brown here with another episode of Azure Friday. I'm here with Dan, who's going to teach us all about Azure architectures and APIs. So, I know there's something called like an architectural center. Like, what do I learn if I come to the architectural center?
Absolutely. So the architecture center is how we distill the best practices that we have for Azure working with real customers. So this includes a number of things, which is example scenarios. That includes things like ARM templates, checklists, ways for you to design for resiliency, for security, and so on and so forth. That you can take, download, and make sure that you are applying directly into your applications.
So we have customers who've already been successful, and we've taken their architectures and we've kind of distilled them into patterns that you can almost apply yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is all found in docs.microsoft.com.
/Azure/architecture.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Cool. So here's an architectural center, and I guess I can search and use this just like I would use Docs anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. So first thing is we see a couple different options: the architecture guide, reference architectures, and enterprise cloud adoption, and then a number of other things. So how you build microservices on Azure, how do you design for resiliency, cloud design patterns, review checklists. These are great, especially while you're building applications or you're doing your next deployment. And then specifically for customers that are coming from AWS, how do you map AWS terms to things you may be not familiar with Azure? For example, account owners, AWS accounts, subscriptions, and accounts in the Azure world.
Gotcha.
So a couple other things that we have within here. We mentioned the Cloud Fundamentals example scenarios. We can, of course, do a quick search for web. We see architecture styles like a web queue worker, web application monitoring, serverless web applications, and even securing web APIs. So there's a lot of guidance for you. So the classic example is sometimes we focus too much on, here's how to build a single wall. This is the guidance for how you build an entire house and make sure that you have locks in the home security system set up.
All right, perfect.
So while we've been talking about kind of the whole house, another key area is people want to get into the nitty gritty. What are the nails and how do I set up that first door, if you will. So let's go into APIs. And this is docs.microsoft.com/.net/API. And this is a unified view of every .NET API Microsoft ships. So everything all in one place at your fingertips to search.
Gotcha. So regardless if I'm a Java developer, .NET developer, Python developer, if there is an API that allows me to access and use Azure, this is where I'm going to go to find the information.
So this one will search all .NET APIs. There's another one that searches all Java,
I see,
all Python, and then another one for all REST, and then another one for all Node.js, TypeScript, and JavaScript.
Gotcha. So I'm not going to be confused by there's all this one place. If I'm a developer, there's a specific place for me to go for Java, and then I'm just going to be curated Java information.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay.
Okay,
perfect.
so let's do a quick search. Let's just even show if you need to filter for a specific API, you can see all the APIs directly within here, and you can see that there are in fact a lot of them. A couple other things. I'm going to select the Azure SDK for .NET. Sometimes your company has built for a specific version. Maybe it's a specific version of the .NET framework, specific version of SDK. We support the version, so you only see the API reference docs for the specific versions you want.
Gotcha.
So you're a healthcare company, you're a year behind in .NET framework. You don't want to see things that your company has adopted, and then it doesn't work.
Correct.
So, and that's always been one of our key customer requests. So I'm going to do a search for just blob. To search for blob storage. And here we see just very quickly typing namespace and specific commands and classes. So, and in fact, we see everything, including Microsoft Health blob. And we'll go ahead and just do a couple other searches here, because this also includes the .NET framework. So let's do String.Format. Right? If you're using this within an application, great. I see String.Format. I'll go to that specific area. And mind you, you still get the ability to search all the .NET framework here. So if I type COLL, now it's searching hundreds of thousands of types in real time to search specific types. So you can see generic, concurrent, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so this is one of the benefits of docs.microsoft.com being the home of all of our documentation, right? You don't have to go to MSDN as a developer to get to .NET Framework, and then you don't have to come over here for Azure to get to the Azure APIs. Because docs.microsoft.com is the central place for all docs, when I start searching an API, I'm able to traverse the docs for Azure, the docs for .NET Framework, .NET Core, all that stuff is now at my fingertips in one location.
Absolutely right.
Got it. Okay.
So even just a couple things within here, how we did a grouping. So if I'm using a string type, we've grouped them all so you can easily see fields, properties, and methods are all grouped as opposed to kind of one long text list. So we'll go down here, and what I want to show is a couple code examples.
Okay.
So within here, we have a new feature that directly from the browser, I can run server-side code directly on my machine. So this, you'll see the output here, and I'm going to go ahead and click Run, and I'll be able to see the output of this. And this is live, so I'm going to just type this, and what I've done is prefix the word my, so we should be able to see that return as well. This will actually execute, and with any luck, return results, and I see the word my here. So this is a live editor, so if we're using String.Format and we want to see exactly how to do this, or things like regular expressions where you always never know,
sure,
before you integrate it in your big application, this gives you the way to verify that the code actually works correctly.
Great.
So we talked about versions for specific APIs as well. So you can always, of course, switch to, say, .NET Core and make sure that you're only seeing the APIs that make sense for you.
Okay.
So let's switch to the Python API browser. So this is the same experience, but now I'm just searching Python APIs. So I'm going to do a search for the word debug. And what we're going to see is the cognitive toolkit, the CNTK, and this gives me the debug module. I have the same experience to be able to search here and be able to filter by version. But just a couple things to note here. Let's go down and see a specific thing. So there's a function called debug model. And one thing to note, you can always do a quick link to just this. This will actually give you, in case you ever need to share, hey,
gotcha,
this is a long reference file. I want to go just to that debug model. So, and that's our quick link. But this text returns a clone model that has debug nodes. So where does that actually come from? If I go to the top of the page, I click View Code. What this is the actual Python. Because it's an open source API, we can do a quick search here and search for debug model.
Interesting.
And let's make sure we have, there's the definition of debug model. And you see that returns a cloned model that has debug nodes. So this is literally developers. What used to happen is you used to have to take, there's a release of an SDK. Weeks later, the SDK was correctly live. Now developers put code comments directly in here, and what used to take weeks now takes minutes.
Gotcha.
So best thing is if you submit a pull request here, you're not just improving the documentation, you're improving the product.
Gotcha.
So what that means is next time I download that CNTK, your change is going to be in that product. Next time you download a PowerShell commandlet that doesn't have an example, it's now included. And maybe those are even modules that are included in, say, that ship in, say, Windows Server.
Sure.
Your code example would then even ship in Windows Server. So it's how do we have that one source of truth, and then being able to help the people that are using the command line and help the people that are editing directly on the browser. So that's available, obviously, for languages that are open source, like Python, Java, PowerShell, and so on.
Perfect. So right now, like I said, we're in the nitty-gritty of using the APIs, using docs to get to the APIs. And we talked a little bit about architecture of architecting an app for Azure. What if I'm curious about how Azure itself is architected? Is that also in docs?
Yeah, so one of the things, I'm going to jump back here, and what do we call it?
I think adoption.
Adoption. So here we see the enterprise cloud adoption, and underneath getting started,
gotcha.
One of the key things that a lot of people say is like, hey, thanks for showing me the API. We've seen some client SDKs, but how does it all work? And this includes videos and text that walks you through exactly how Azure actually works.
Awesome, yeah, because sometimes I get a little nervous when I'm just out there following a tutorial, but I'm really not quite sure what's happening underneath.
Right.
And this gives me that kind of reassurance that it's not just this black hole that you have to trust us. You can actually see how this stuff actually works underneath, which is really, really cool.
So last thing to show is REST APIs. So all of these services use REST APIs so that you can call them directly. And then, of course, we have client SDKs for the specific languages. But what we've done is actually made that process way easier for you to be able to use REST APIs directly here. So I'm going to do a search for a resource. And again, the REST API browser is all REST APIs that use Swagger at Microsoft.
Okay.
So we see VSTS, for example, in this list. But what I'm going to do is just look at Azure resources. So let's go to, actually, let's pick Azure Resource Groups. And we see all the things that we can do with resource groups. First thing I'm going to do is actually create one. And this will give me the documentation of what are the things that I need. It needs an ID, resource group, API version. Well, look, you may not know what your GUID ID is and all that other stuff, which is one of the things you need for REST. But we have this try button. So what this will actually do is sign me into my account. And I'll give this a second. And you'll see those parameters here. It now says my subscription ID. So I didn't need to choose this. This was picking my account. And I'll pick, say, Azure Friday as our resource group name. Now we can change, of course, information within here. So let's do West US 2. This will actually send data. So this is data that we're sending within the payload. And we see the request preview. So what this will happen, I'm going to click Run. And I see the response here. I see a 201 to be able to go through that. And I see that it succeeded in terms of the JSON body. So this is a great place when you're just getting started with the REST API. It's like, what does this thing do? What do I need to do? And you can start playing with it. Let's go one way back and go to actually list and see if it's actually there. So I'm going to click try it. And in this case, what we're going to do is the same thing that we saw before. I'm going to log in. I have my internal consumption. I'm going to click run. And here I'll see all my JSON values. And let's search for Azure Friday, and I see my resource group right there.
Awesome.
So a really easy way for you to not just call APIs, but actually review the results. We'll do things like validate that required fields are there and that you're adding the right values.
No, this is great. This is going to save me a lot of time from using the F12 tools or inside of my browser trying to scrape what's actually happening when I'm going and making these API calls. So no, this is fantastic. So we are learning all about architecture and Azure APIs here on Azure Friday.